The French. No matter what executive car they make, us Brits have always turned our noses up, opting for more conventional German offerings. Nevertheless, after calling time on the Safran in 2000, a year later and with the accountants held hostage, Renault designers set to work on bringing the Vel Satis to production. The result was a triple threat, a very long, very wide and very tall car, with a rear end to rival Kim Kardashian, whoever she is. Renault's then design chief, Patrick Lee Clement, said the Vel Satis was designed to have physical presence rather than classical elegance. So if you can get past the slightly inbred looks, then you can join me in admiring one of the most gorgeous interiors that I've ever sat in. The look, feel and functionality here in the Vel Satis were foreshadowing of what we'd see on mainstream Renaults such as the Clio in 2004 and the Megane in 2008. The wood is tasteful, the interior just flows classically. We've got the likes of the clock, the wood on the steering wheel, and of course these huge big leather seats. I've never seen anything like them. In favour of minimal dashboards, these days manufacturers get rid of all the physical buttons that they can, but that means that you have to sort of go through the screen and go through sub-menu after sub-menu. But I think Renault were really onto something here with the Vel Satis. If you wanted a more minimalist interior, all you have to do is push this, the panel comes down and covers the buttons for the sat-nav, and I think that is a really good idea, and that manufacturers these days should really consider that. Because Renault were only aiming to sell 3,000 of these, this car in no way feels like it was built to a budget. Whereas around the same time as this car came out, BMW and Mercedes were losing their exclusivity. They were making luxury quality cars, of course, but it was luxury on a budget. Whereas in here, in the Vel Satis, it feels like every little bit of clever design was intended for this car. I love the fold-out door pockets. I love the diagonally opening drawers under the seats. I love the way that the wood trim, you push it and it folds out to reveal some cup holders. I like the way the hazard switch is in the middle here where the armrest is. Very French. It's all just so well thought out and a nice place to be. Well, here we are in the back, and before I become an executive, first of all, I'm going to talk to you about this car and its owner. Tom is now on his second Vel Satis, and I'm really lucky to review it because not only is it rare, but this is one of only 3 Vel Satises in Liverpool. Tom hasn't had a bad word to say about this car, and he really is a super fan, because in this folder here, Tom's got press cuttings, adverts, everything that you would love to see if you were a Vel Satis fan, and you can see it. I've done a separate video on all the press cuttings, the adverts, all the brochures that Tom's got. So if you are a Vel Satis super fan, then go and see that. But I want to read you just a little bit from the brochure, and it says, "The harder we looked at it, the more we thought that the luxury car was in need of a new approach." They didn't want to make another 3-box saloon for an executive, which is why they made this. So I suppose part of the reason why the Renault is so tall is for the interests of space in the back. Well, the luxury does continue for the executives. Even if Peter Crouch was driving, I've still got plenty of room, and I'm 6 foot. The headlining on this car is starting to sag at both sides, but I've got plenty of headroom. You also get an entirely flat floor. There's no transmission tunnel. That's something that you won't find in German cars even today. And like I said, it's very luxurious in the back of this car. We've got window blinds on either side. There's also another cigarette lighter down here, and ashtrays on the side of either door, so the chief execs can smoke to their lungs' content while Peter Crouch is up front munching the miles. Sadly, Peter was busy filming another crap documentary, so it's up to me to tell you about how the Vel Satis drives. But unfortunately, I think the folks at Go Compare would have a heart attack if I tried to insure a 3-litre petrol Vel Satis. I did have a little cheeky drive of it up and down the street though. So here I am out for a cheeky drive in the Vel Satis. It has got a bit of a timing belt issue, I think, at the moment, or cam belt, whatever you want to call it. You can hear the squeaking. But the gearbox, as you're going to see in a minute, it's silky smooth. And the kickdown is just immense. I mean, Doesn't matter what engine you go for, 2 litre, 3 litre, whatever. If it wasn't for the squeaking, that'd sound absolutely brilliant. The ride is silky smooth. These seats, you just sink into them, and this is what this car is for. It's a long distance cruiser. As the name suggests, velocity and satisfaction are this car's forte, and they're two things that can be found consistently on the motorway. The automatic gearbox doesn't put a foot wrong, and that combined with the silky smooth ride makes this car a brilliant cruiser, and that's exactly what a luxury executive car is designed to do. Emissions and MPG, however, aren't very Thunberg friendly, with only the diesels being able to push 30 mpg. Looking at this interior nearly 20 years on since this car was new, and well, there are some problems. It does look a little bit tired, a little bit worn. There's some panel gaps and a few creaks with the trim. Something that we don't really enjoy very much here on Matty's cars are electronic handbrakes. It's push and pull, and it's all the way down here by the driver's knee. Being a Renault, do expect some electrical problems at some point. When you open the boot, it makes a very concerning electrical noise that just screams, "I'm going to go wrong." But on the whole, the Vel Satis hasn't aged very much at all. It's a shame the Vel Satis flopped for Renault, especially when the 7 Series of the same era looked just as vulgar. Now, with less than 200 examples of the Vel Satis left on the road, I think it's time to appreciate the unique cars the French pulled off when money was no object.